So I spoke with an amazing man named Jim Barfield, and Jim Barfield is unraveling the mystery of the Copper Scroll, the Copper Scroll being one of the Dead Sea Scrolls, but it's exceptional. And what Jim is doing is he's actually right on the verge of discovering either the gold from the temple or the gold and silver ornaments and perhaps even the gems from the temple. It's just that when people say, the third temple, blah, 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 it's it'll come down from heaven and it's so far away and how dare you. We're so close. Jim just needs to go to Qumran. He has a metal detector that can detect metal and say whether it's ferrous or non-ferrous. It can detect it up to 50 feet deep. And non-ferrous metal, of course, is gold and silver. I'm wondering, I believe that there were no utensils in the temple. There were no utensils in the temple made out of iron or steel, though Jim said perhaps the gold and silver was stored in ferrous metal. In any case, within a couple of hours, he could quite literally discover the utensils from the Temple Mount. And the thing that's preventing him is the Israeli government. And he was actually very, very nice about the Israeli government. He said, I understand why, because the minute we say, hey, temple vessels, the world will go crazy and say, oh, the Jews want to go up to the temple. What about the Muslims? It's a Muslim holy site. And there's going to be a big thing. Now, I just want to ask you, if there are two sides to an argument, and one necessarily has to suppress archaeological discoveries, has to suppress truth, what does that tell you? If the Muslims on the Temple Mount are working with tractors to destroy these sites, creating what we call the sifting project, which is sifting through their garbage to find remnants of the temple, if they necessarily have to suppress what's been accepted versions of human history, if they have to suppress archaeological findings, what does that tell you about them? Christians, Islam is replacement theology, and they're not afraid to say that. And they're here to replace you. The fact that they want to replace Jews, we know. They want to replace Jews on the Temple Mount. They want to replace Jews in Israel. And they want to erase that history totally. Their entire narrative is dependent on that. Here we have a guy who's literally hours away from discovering the temple vessels, and he's not allowed to move forward because the more prominent political narrative says can't do that. Well, if you ask me, I think that says an awful lot.